We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiences with extraterrestrials.
He doesn't feel uncomfortable. He's not scared or nervous or anything. He said it felt natural to him. So that kind of tells me maybe he's done this before.
It's time for disclosure. It's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformations.
So, I mean, I know we can't, it'll come out in the regression, but I'm assuming we're going to move forward and go someplace else. I get the feeling he's getting some healing.
We're the voices of change and profound evolution.
Just experiences. There's a lot of this updating going on. Right? You guys have heard this before from other clients. So I really think that they are upgrading us as I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of us, to prepare us for something.
We're the bridge between two different worlds.
Like, just looking over, and Deb, you may be able to relate to this as well. I'm sure you can. But when I started with this thing, when all this was happening, and it was Dr. Jacobs, and it was Bud, and it was John Mack, and et cetera. But these, even though it was so long ago, the stories are basically the same. We may use different terminology, upgrade, download, those kinds of things. And some people still say, hybridization program. But it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. And even with the people we've been interviewing, we start out with the show, and you're giving us kind of bits and pieces. And then as it gets more, we're building up. And it always comes I would say 80-90% of the time, it always comes out to you have something to do, because he's like the guest of honor. He's coming in, he opens the doors, he's running late. I had a vision of like at a party somewhere, and you're late, but we've been expecting you, and this is this is what you need to do.
Profound integration is coming.
You're telling me that I need this upgrade to help me feel my energy, feel more aware, understand my surroundings, to feel more, to be more. I feel like it's time to move forward. I feel like I'm almost like an experiment. They've been working on me for a while.
What do you mean when they say they've been working on you for a while?
They say that they have taken me a few times, but this time is different. This time is supposed to help change me and transform me into something much more.
What is it going to transform you into?
Who I came here to be.
And who did you come here to be?
Someone to help, heal, save, protect people.
And how are you going to do that?
To opening my aura, my presence alone. Like they said, I need this upgrade to allow this to happen.
Just who are extraterrestrials? Let's find out with the voices of contact.
We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure, and it's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformation. We are the voices of change. We are about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful, like literally it's life-changing. And I thank you for being a part of it and being here with me. It means more than you realize to me as well as the listeners. So allow me to introduce some of my most favorite people. First, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they also are the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September. They're owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakening Podcast on the YouTube channel, and at the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Next, we have the fabulous and well-loved Michael Carter. He is a lifetime UFO contactee, author of Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible. He's also a regular consultant on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens series and the Travel Channel's UFO Lost Evidence series, as well as being featured in several UFO documentaries. Last but definitely not least, we have our amazing new panelist, Deborah Jordan Cobble. She was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' international bestseller, Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, which was actually made into a CBS miniseries in 1992. She's co-author of the book Abducted, The Story of the Intruders Continues, and author of Extraordinary Contact, Life Beyond Intruders. She's a former Indiana MUFON investigator and co-founder of her own paranormal group, Paranormal Underground, and host of the Midwest Paratalk podcast. With the amazing panel that we have tonight, I know that anything is possible. And we're going to get down deep into discovery and answers to what's actually really happening out there. This show is all about transmutating the light from the dark and replacing fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across amazing cases with some amazing clients. It is my passion to work with them and to help them have a better understanding of the contact they've had. Whether they were taken, have had contact in the physical realm, or through a dream state. I'm grateful that my clients have agreed to allow me to use the regressions on the voices of contact. Tonight, this is the place to be because the panel breaks down the experiences, providing powerful feedback. I love it because all the listeners get to learn and connect, and the person that I regressed walks away even more immersed in the experience with a new perspective on their contact. Literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the voices of contact.
Hi, everyone. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
All right.
Devin, Mike.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
I missed your guys' faces.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't realize how much I missed you guys until I saw you guys all popping in. And I was excited. I must be lonely.
And it's cool that we have become so close.
Yes.
Love
Yep. Well, that's the best part of it, right?
It is. Absolutely. We look forward to spending time with you guys.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So tonight's episode is an interesting one. I regressed a gentleman who wanted to explore when he was sitting in his car and he was on lunch break, and all of a sudden he started seeing swirly lights and then white lights, but he couldn't remember anything after that. All he remembered was going back to work and having like 15, 20 minutes of missing time and getting in trouble by his boss because he went like 20 minutes over his lunch break. And so he wanted to explore what might have happened during that 20 minutes. So with this first one, he's sitting in his car and he's taking his break, and all of a sudden he starts seeing those swirling lights in front of him. So give me one moment.
I'm seeing multiple colors spinning counterclockwise and then clockwise.
What-
Blues, reds, orange, yellow. As it goes faster, it just blends into one color.
What happens when it blends into one color?
Just turns to white.
Now, what I want you to do next is I want you to look past that white light. And you're looking past the white light. What do you see now?
I see some form of a ship, but it looks almost invisible.
It looks invisible to you?
Like it's trying to camouflage.
What else do you notice about the ship?
As I get closer, it's definitely a metallic. It also has the same colored lights that I was seeing spinning.
When you say that you're getting closer, how are you getting closer to it?
I feel almost like I'm in that cloud, just floating up.
So you feel yourself floating up?
Oh,
I was having some problems hearing him.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
very quiet, but interesting.
So they went out on the lunch break. You saw this light. You asked him to go beyond the light,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw the ship that you said was definitely metallic, right?
Yep. And then he felt himself floating up because at first he sees the swirling colors, and then he sees a white light. And so I have him look past that white light, and that's where he sees that sort of like cloud type looking things. And as he moves past that, he starts to see the craft. It looks really light to him, but then when he starts to focus in on it more, it does. It looks more metallic to him.
And
Was
this
he in
is
the parking lot? Oh, sorry.
I'm going to.
I just was asking. Was he in the car in the parking lot at work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is lunchtime.
This is lunchtime. This was his break.
It was in broad daylight.
And if I remember correctly, I think he says that often on his breaks, he will go out and he will meditate. So I'm thinking that's what he was doing, was meditating. And at first he thought he was seeing those colored lights because of the meditation until he started seeing the other lights.
So that's a good question, Michael. You said, was it during the day? Well, was it? Was it or at nighttime?
Yeah, I do believe he works during the day.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just assumed because the lunch break
Well, I worked second
could
shift.
be a
for
dinner
years,
break, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So
And he doesn't have any. He felt like he was lifting up. It's not like he was in the car and the whole car was going up, right?
No, he didn't describe it as the car itself going up. I have heard that in regressions where the whole car goes, but not in this case. He doesn't recall that. That's not how he described it.
So really all he recalls, before being regressed, was seeing the lights.
Yes.
And then he got in trouble for being late. So he didn't have memory of the floating or the seeing the metallic ship.
No.
None of that.
No.
So that's all coming via regression.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
So the Pleiadians are trying to get through to you. Huh?
Hollywood.
Yes, they are. Just a second. Jeez, I'm sorry.
Just reminded me I need to turn my ringer.
I can see she's got the Pleiadians, the Greys, those Nordics.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Right?
All right, so
they're all contacting us.
I
right
know
now.
everything's going on. I love it. So with this next one, this is where he talks about feeling himself floating up, and then he moves on to the craft and he describes the room that he finds himself in.
Yeah, but I'm not really scared. It's just seems natural.
Okay. So we're going to move you forward just a little bit. And we're past you floating up to the craft and you find yourself on the craft. Look around and describe what you see for me.
It's like I'm in a waiting room, like a lobby. It's very white, very clean. There's nothing in here besides tables, interesting chairs. It looks like a desk, but doesn't seem like anyone sits there.
So there's nobody in the room with you?
No,
And what are you doing?
I'm just observing the room, looking around. There's a few plants that don't look like it's from Earth. Flowers.
So plants and flowers and a desk.
Just like a waiting room.
And I
Really
find it interesting that he's not, he doesn't feel uncomfortable. He's not scared or nervous or anything. He said it felt natural to him. So that kind of tells me maybe he's done this before.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've heard someone describe that,
Yeah.
where they
Right.
find themselves initially in a room where they're like in a doctor's office and they're waiting for something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we can't, it'll come out in the regression, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're going to move forward and go someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling he's getting some healing work, but no.
He's getting something done, and I don't think it's plastic surgery.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not, unless they're trying to make him look human. Who knows?
Oh, that's true. That could be a possibility.
Yeah, but you know, I love hearing the different descriptions of what they see when they get on these ships.
Mm-hmm. It's always
Because
different.
It's always different, but yet there's so many. You know, some of them have like the waiting room. Some of them are in like a medical facility. Some are in a dim room. I mean, you just never know. But it's
Well, he wasn't nervous, so he wasn't applying for a job. That's for sure.
No?
right.
Yeah.
All right. So with this next clip, we are going to get into exactly where he's going and what he's doing there.
What else do you notice?
There's a few doors, but there's the two doors almost next to each other, like an in and an out.
Do you want to move through one of those doors?
Yeah, there's someone on the other side of this door that I see moving.
Okay, so let's move towards the door. And you're moving towards the door. And you're moving through the door. Tell me, what do you see?
There's a lot of beings in here. They all look very different. It seems like they're kind of waiting for me.
What are they waiting for?
Almost like I'm running late. Like they're surprised that it's taking me this long.
Ask them what you're running late for.
They said I need work to do.
What kind of work?
They said it's time for me to sit and start getting my upgrade.
Ooh,
See, now we're getting into the meat of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so many abductions we are listening to. I don't know. I should say abductions experiences. There's a lot of this upgrading going on, right? And you guys have heard this before from other clients. So I really think that they are upgrading us as I mean, whoever they. I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of us, to prepare us for something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I agree. It's amazing. Like, just looking over, and Deb, you may be able to relate to this as well. I'm sure you can. But like, when I started with when all this was happening, and it was Dr. Jacobs, and it was Bud, and it was um, John Mack, and et cetera, et cetera. But these, even though it was so long ago, the stories are basically the same. We may use different terminology, upgrade, download, those kinds of things. And some people still say, hybridization program. But it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. And even with the people we've been interviewing, we start out with the show, and you're giving us kind of bits and pieces. And then as it gets more, we're building up, and it always comes not, well, I would say 80-90% of the time, it always comes out to you have something to do, because he's like the guest of honor. He's coming in, he opens the doors, he's running late. I had a vision of like at a party somewhere, and you're late, but we've been expecting you, and this is this is what you need to do. It's always that theme through all these many years.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, it was very kind that they took him during his break and then work.
Oh yeah.
It could have been disastrous. But yeah, I think, the whole upgrading, downloading, all of that, we are in that evolution period. And this seems to be the theme with many of the people that we talk to, is some sort of upgrade.
Well, you guys, also, I've heard that there's also a lot of removal going on. Some people have implants in that shouldn't be there, that were put there that weren't good. And sometimes some of these things are removals. I've read this from a lot of people, and that could be an upgrade, that they're taking out the old stuff, for somebody else. And just a thought, to think about it, that we may have some implants on us that are not good.
Maybe they only last so long. Maybe it's like a pacemaker and it has to be upgraded, every 10 years or something.
I can see that as everything shifts and changes and grows, bodies need to be upgraded to adapt to those shifts.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think it was last week we were talking about, we had somebody who had asthma, and there was a little bit of conversation about, our bodies are trying to adapt to Earth. In some ways, many of us experiencers have, some pretty weird physical things going on. So,
well, yeah, because a lot of us aren't from here, and the bodies aren't made to live
This
here.
kind of air that we got going on.
Right. So that could be part of the testing and all of that. Is how are their bodies adapting to a different atmosphere, a different planet?
Yeah.
Yeah, anything from the atmosphere to the foods, to the waters, if we're not from here, we're not used to that. It could be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I made the comment, I think it was on chat, while the show was airing, that, I've been tested for allergies because I have so many. And I'm literally almost allergic to everything outside.
So am I.
And dogs and cats. I mean, come on.
Just a little bit of everything.
Why are some of us so allergic to our planet?
And I'm allergic to a lot of drugs too. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm very sensitive to any kind of drugs, medications.
yeah. And I only need a small fraction of what they want to give me for it to be successful. And they all had to learn that the hard way. They didn't listen to me. so they got scared.
Yeah.
But now they now they just give me, they don't dose me by weight anymore.
Yeah, I have the same issue.
Yeah.
So,
So instead of taking a half, you take a quarter. Huh?
Yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, so not, our bodies are aging too. When we age, things change
Yeah.
in our bodies and our chemistry. I heard somebody say one time our body chemistry changes every 7 or 8 years as we age and our environment changes. So maybe that has something to do with these recurring visits as well, you know,
Right.
adapting us to our own physical changes. I mean, we got to have these bodies to live here. I mean, for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I call, I'm driving around in my big meat sack full of water, you know?
I call them apartment buildings.
I feel like it sometimes.
right. Right. Yeah.
All right. So on this next clip, this one gets into more about the upgrade and exactly what it's for.
Good.
What is the upgrade for?
They're telling me that I need this upgrade to help me feel my energy, feel more aware, understand my surroundings, to feel more, to be more. They feel like it's time to move forward. I feel like I'm almost like an experiment. They've been working on me for a while.
What do you mean when they say they've been working on you for a while?
They say that they have taken me a few times, but this time is different. This time is supposed to help change me and transform me into something much more.
What is it going to transform you into?
Who I came here to be,
And who did you come here to be?
someone to help heal, to save, to protect people.
And how are you going to do that?
To opening my aura, my presence alone. But they said I need this upgrade to allow this to happen.
Raise those vibrations, huh?
That's a typical answer often too, isn't it? To
Yeah,
help
it
other
is.
people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. What he's calling an upgrade sounds to me like they're just going to make him more awake. That his consciousness needs to change, but when that changes, his energy changes, and so. But that's been the theme.
Yeah.
That and you know the theme of obviously the planet needs healing. We need healing, but it's textbook.
Mhm.
Like turn up that dial, turn up that frequency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about that many times here on the show as well.
Well, maybe that's an important thing that we all need to learn or not learn, just understand that this, if this is going on worldwide, then a lot of people's frequencies are getting turned up, and people are becoming more aware and vibrating to a higher frequency. So, and that's good.
And it's well, at least a different frequency.
Yeah, different frequency.
But it also, in addition to that, it also just reiterates that even though our governments and the governments of the world are trying to keep this narrative to a tech kind of thing, that this really is bigger than that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This phenomenon is so much bigger
Yeah.
than technological prowess.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting that, you know, so many people say that they're here to help. They're being improved so they can help others. Well, what is that causing? It's causing more unity, more love. And isn't that what it's all about? You know, how often do you
Exactly.
hear humans say, you know, we're not going to make it on this planet if we can't come together?
Yeah.
So that's exactly, I mean, to me, that's what I'm hearing is, you know, They're
Yeah.
trying to create that unity. Everybody's here to help everybody else, and it's time for us to do it. So they're waking us up. They're giving us this knowledge that we're God. You know,
That was taken away, I think. They just numbed it down, and we got to remember why we're here. Yep.
And I think it's good for people to hear an experience like this where it's an upgrade, it's some kind of healing. That not necessarily every experience is fear-based. And
right.
you know, if people want to explore that more and get past their fear, I think that raises the vibration too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2,000 years ago, when the technology wasn't there, the power of words was very powerful in communication. You know, that would raise your vibration, just a word alone. If you could speak the words and have that come out, you know, the information that you resonate with. So I'm just saying that, you know, we're today, like you said, Michael, it's not so much the technology, don't resonate with the technology, but resonate with, you know, still the power of the words, still the power of communication. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we're in the age of Aquarius now, and you know, 2,000 years ago it was the Piscean age, and so in the Aquarius, if you break it down, Aquarius, the age of Aquarius is about diversity, and it's about technology. So the technology is important,
Yeah.
because that's just the way we're going, and of course, being able to deal with difference and not being afraid of it, or you know, it doesn't have to mean divisive. The age of Aquarius, though, when I'm talking about the consciousness, I mean, the Piscean age was the age of saviors. Jesus was, you know, you had the Buddha, you had all these people coming in to show a way. And then, you know, you had Buddha and you had Jesus talking about, well, you don't really need a teacher. What I have, you have. And so this upgrade, if you want to use those words, or this, I like the word consciousness.
Mhm.
This change in consciousness is realizing that we're the ones we've been waiting for. That if I'm going to be of assistance, I need to make a change in me. And that's the cultivation of an inner life. That's spirituality. My inner life. I have changed. This is what I believe. This is what I used to believe. This is a line I will not cross. This is what I stand for. And as you guys were saying, and we've said before, that the unity piece, that's important. But that's the change in consciousness as we go from the Piscean age, where we look for someone outside of us. God, if you want to use that word, is out there. Everybody's out there, to the Aquarian age, where I'm going to be the transformation.
Yeah.
Well, you can call it God or whatever, but whatever's in me is going to help me go out and be the person I want to be in order to bring healing to this beautiful planet we live on.
Yeah. And I think once we understand the new technology and we learn how to use it right, it's going to be wonderful. You know, how to clean up the planet, how to use it for health, and how to use it for raise your consciousness, and how to, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's there, and we have to be ready for it. Not only mentally, physically, but you know, we've got to understand that, you know, don't use it as weapons. Use it as a gift. What was that?
That was my phone. Sorry, that was me.
I thought somebody said, "Wake up."
Now, I don't know what it said, but it was my phone, and as soon as it did, I hit it because I
know it did
thought
sound
I
like
turned it off.
It did sound like wake up. Yeah.
I thought the voice in my ear. Wake up.
Well, maybe it was, you know, it was my phone, but maybe the universe was working in another way,
Right,
you know, through my
right.
electronics, because it
I
does
love it.
crazy stuff.
The
Only on the show.
Yeah, you can
thing
make
it
that
could
shit
have
up,
said
right?
would have been namaste. Then
Yeah.
I would have been really happy.
I love it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, so for this last clip, he gets into describing the type of ETs that are in the room with him, because there does seem to be several, and exactly what they look like.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is I want you to look around the room and describe some of the beings for me. What do they look like?
There's a few short ones. They kind of have some bellies on them. No clothing. Very touchy and friendly. They don't really seem scared of me, and I don't seem scared of them. There's two very tall beings, both of them with robes. One of the robes is like a yellow-white color. The other one has some red and orange to it. They're both very humanoid looking. Their eyes are very white. They're just observing. There's also a slug-like creature that's cleaning, absorbing things almost like a sea cucumber, but floored, like very see-through. There's another being that's a little taller than me. His eyes look almost like a snake, like a viper. He's actually the only one that has like a facial feature when he smiles and talks.
You say he's talking. What is he saying?
He's telling me that he's here to help me and to work with me.
Wow.
So I wonder if he was talking with he must have been talking with his mouth.
Yeah, there was. I find it so interesting, all the different type of species that he just described.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we're kind of going back and forth. It's,
The
it's
slug
this.
one got
wait,
me.
no.
I know.
Well, we were thinking the two tall beings were going to be mantis again, but no, they're human. So,
Humanoid.
humanoid, yeah, I mean,
No, they were humanoid. They're not
humanoid,
human.
yeah, humanoid. So yeah, it was interesting, and the kind of the translucent slug thing. It was, I
They
mean,
were
There was
reminded me
also,
of-
what was interesting too, just off the cuff, it was just, the being who smiled, which is lovely because very seldom do you see a humanoid smile. But it sounded serpent-ish,
yes,
serpent-ish, and so it wasn't all that baggage about, oh my God, it's evil, it's the snake
Right.
from the Garden
Right.
of Eden. It was just another race. It was
Mhm.
another race.
Right. Who smiled and talked.
So and I'll tell
That's
you,
blowing my mind because I've only had telepathic communication.
I got to tell our listeners, we have to prepare ourselves. There are so many different intelligent things out there. So, get over what we all look like. If you want to meet these beings, you have to get prepared that there's an infinite amount of different kinds of beings out there that are intelligent, that are spiritual, that
And
are,
Yeah. And again, we have an experiencer who is describing many different beings working together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of beauty in that.
I think so too. Yeah.
I thought he was going to say there was a slug like, and he was going around cleaning the room. I don't know why I thought that right away. That wasn't the deal.
Yeah, I was wondering where he was going to go with that.
Yeah, I know.
They have-
Clean
they
the
have,
walls and.
Yeah, they have hired help there to help people.
But no, and I apologize for that being. I thought that so.
But it does sound like there were some shorter grays
Mm-hmm.
from the sounds of it that were kind of doing the work. And that seems to be
Yeah, the norm.
the norm. And then
Yeah, it always
different
seems like
beings.
the ones with the robes are, different roles than they all have different roles.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's so amazing how, I mean, if you could do that on Earth, imagine.
We do it on Earth.
But do we?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not. No, I'm
Well-
not negating what you're saying. I was just thinking. We have these different races working on these space stations. The Chinese, the Russians, the French. They get along up there,
Yeah.
but somehow down here, it's a problem. And there's some stories, obviously, in the literature where sometimes there's a certain group of Nordics who don't get along with another group of Nordics, or the reptilians don't get. So in a way, we're just like that.
Yeah.
In a way. But I was just thinking, all these races on this ship. Well, when you go on the space station, all the countries that we seem to be having problems with, they're all working together on this station. Now, that's another subject for another show. But it's
Right.
almost, are we being BS'd? How
Yes.
come we can get together up there?
Right.
And yes, I know they're militarizing space and yada yada yada.
Right.
But it's interesting that we can get together up there, but down here, it's a
Yeah.
problem. So
Like there-
anyway, I just
Yeah,
thought
like there really is no problem, and we're being, told there is, and for some reason.
it's curious to
Yeah,
me.
it is curious. I want to talk to you later on the phone about that.
Yeah, it's just very curious.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Because why are humans so divided?
It definitely is a mystery.
It yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I was just reading one of Michael Sala's books, and he's talking to this guy who's says that he's been on Mars. It's all military.
Yeah.
But he says, man, we get up there, and I'm working with these Chinese people, these soldiers, and there's some French soldiers. Of course, there's some ETs up there, and I'm assuming the guy is telling the truth, but I've heard it in other stories. But
Yeah.
even it doesn't have anything to do with ETs. Their nations represented there, and we all seem to we can get along enough to do whatever we're doing up there, but
Right.
somehow down here, it's I don't get that. I don't have an answer. I'm just
Yeah.
putting it out there. I don't want to detract from this brother's story, but
Right.
it's just curious to me as we were talking about all these different, because they fight amongst themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have literature about that, and of course you can go back and look at ancient literature, and so there, it's not all, they still have their problems with each other,
Yeah.
and so do we,
Yeah.
and maybe that's where we learned it. But it's just an interesting dichotomy,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to find out or hear him say that he's been taken before.
Mhm.
And Deb had already said, this makes me think of someone who's been experienced this before.
It's not my first rodeo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that is he didn't realize that it had happened many times. This was the first time he ever decided to explore that piece of missing time. He had no kind of recollection.
Mhm.
So that's
What has
where,
he done since? Has he done more exploration since
Yes.
he realized this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
And-
he keeps on going down a rabbit hole every time he does one.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
There's plenty of rabbit holes around there to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But as this becomes more normal, and we're trying to get rid of some of the stigmas of, people who have been taken or
Exactly.
abducted or whatever you want to call it, it's becoming more the norm that people are suddenly realizing, okay, I need to be regressed because this happened, and I want to find out more. And then they realize it's been happening
Yeah.
most of their lives or all of their lives.
Yeah.
And, had you asked me in 2015, had I ever been taken, I would have probably laughed and said no.
No, they had to wait till I got there.
They wait till he comes along. they take me and they leave enough to make me know that I've been taken. Now I have to explore. So
To get it all figured out.
right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but now I know that this has really been happening most of my life, if not all of my life. And I think that's more the norm than not. So we need to keep, dissolving these stigmas and, make it okay for people to talk about it and to explore it and be regressed and get their own
right.
answers. So we can all be helpers and, live together, work together.
Answers are everything, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so everybody's going to want to stay tuned for the next week's regression because it continues on with this and then it actually gets deeper into what it's all about for him. He explores the craft. He has more conversation with the singular ET. So the next week's is going to be very interesting.
Good.
Nice. Now we have
Yeah, look forward to it. Look forward to it.
Well,
All
that's
right.
great. I'm gonna miss you guys.
That's all we have for tonight. So until next week, thanks you guys and thanks to our viewers.
Okay.
Love you.
Have a good night.
Bye bye.
Night.
Sorry.
We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiences with extraterrestrials.
He doesn't feel uncomfortable. He's not scared or nervous or anything. He said it felt natural to him. So that kind of tells me maybe he's done this before.
It's time for disclosure. It's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformations.
So, I know we can't. It'll come out in the regression, but I'm assuming we're going to move forward and go someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling he's getting some healing.
We're the voices of change and profound evolution.
Such as experiences. There's a lot of this updating going on. Right? You guys have heard this before from other clients. So I really think that they are upgrading us as I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of us, to prepare us for something.
We're the bridge between two different worlds.
Thing. Like, just looking over, and Deb, you may be able to relate to this as well. I'm sure you can. But when I started with when all this was happening, when it was Dr. Jacobs and it was Bud and it was John Mack and et cetera. But these, even though it was so long ago, the stories are basically the same. We may use different terminology, upgrade, download, those kinds of things. And some people still say, hybridization program. But it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. And even with the people we've been interviewing, we start out with the show and you're giving us kind of bits and pieces. And then as it gets more, we're building up. And it always comes I would say 80, 90% of the time, it always comes out to you have something to do, because he's like the guest of honor. He's coming in, he opens the doors, he's running late. I had a vision of like at a party somewhere, and you're late, but we were expecting you, and this is this is what you need to do.
Profound integration is coming.
You're telling me that I need this upgrade to help me feel my energy, feel more aware, understand my surroundings, to feel more, to be more. I feel like it's time to move forward. I feel like I'm almost like an experiment. I've been working on me for a while.
What do you mean when they say they've been working on you for a while?
They say that they have taken me a few times, but this time is different. This time is supposed to help change me and transform me into something much more.
What is it going to transform you into?
Who I came here to be.
And who did you come here to be?
Someone to help, heal, save, protect people.
And how are you going to do that?
To opening my aura, my presence alone. Like they said, I need this upgrade to allow this to happen.
Just who are extraterrestrials? Let's find out with the voice.